All right, to switch gears, I want to talk about violence among teenagers, specifically female teenagers. I work at a public school, and if you look at most of the fights, I would say like 80% fights are between girls,
Right.
maybe like 20% are with boys. It's a little bit different than when I was growing up. So I want to get your thoughts. You know, there are a lot of Twitter beefs, Instagram beefs over boys and things of these, which cause these, you know, these fights. How would you give advice to young ladies as far as not, you know, resolving their issues in that sort of way, as far as fighting and not getting involved and letting things get to them to the point where they want to fight and things that sort?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. It's really tough. You know, when you're a teenager, you're living for the approval of others. You don't really know who you are. And social media, see, when I was their age, I didn't have social media, so people live and die by likes, literally. Like, as you see people are getting killed on Facebook Live over, you know, gang territory and all these beefs and things that are going on. So people are literally living and dying by likes and by the approval and by retweets, you know, that they get from their friends. And so I would want to push them further, you know, to know that they were made for more. You know, you're made for more than what Pookie and them think. I don't know, people still say Pookie and them. Maybe I'm dating myself. But you're made for more than what they think about you. You know, there's a God who loved you so much that he died for you before you even came to be. Like, you know, and I would be really trying to point them to Christ, and that's where the gospel really has to come in, and showing them that there's a God, you know, who is holy and just, but yet he chose to love you, you know, while you're in your sin. And while you were an enemy of his, while you over here beating up these other girls, you know what I'm saying? He has his arms stretched out wide, you know, to come to you. But it's not enough to just say that. You have to show them how that actually practically looks in their lives, you know. And so it's like you draw your significance, your dignity, all of your worth is found in him, not, you know, in this dude, you know, who you're fighting with. You know, I was fighting over, you know, and just showing them how temporary, you know, this situation is. You're in high school for 4 years, you're in middle school for 2, you know, like, this is not the end, you know, like, life will continue to go on. So I would be pointing them, you know, to Christ, though I know in a public school setting that's difficult to do, but I would be talking to them more so I'd be talking about themes, so talking about their dignity, talking about their worth, you know, because I think those are safe terms that you can use within the public school context, because I know you can't explicitly preach Christ to them within those, so I understand that. So I would be talking about their worth, their significance, their value. Who has your ear? What are you watching? Are you watching Bad Girls Club? You know, are you watching Black Ink? Are you watching these shows, you know, that are encouraging you, you know, to act out, you know, in these violent ways? So like, monitor, you know, what you're watching, who you're following. So those are practical ways in that public school setting that I would, you know, try to steer those young girls towards. With, you know, with the restriction of not being able to explicitly preach Christ. So, but still, I can still kind of, you know, make those connections and those dots for them. But I think also it comes down to shepherding them and discipling them too. You know, so, which they would call mentorship, okay? You know, and so in walking with them and doing life with them, and, you know, and really being very much involved in the intimate details of their life, you know, so you have that buy-in and that relationship to speak into their lives too. Because nobody's going to hear from you if you don't have a relationship with them. You know, nobody wants to hear you admonish them, you know, rebuke them, correct them, or even listen to your advice if you don't have a relationship with them. So that's important. So in that context, mentorship, in the church we'd say discipleship, but yeah, mentorship, walking with them, you know, really getting into their lives and being able, and then you get to a point where you have that relationship where you can begin to push back and challenge and, you know, do those things. But yeah, that's how I would